How to use LinkedIn and LinkedIn Sales Navigator to generate leads in 2022 and beyond. Hi, my name is Chris Cozzolino, and I'm the co-founder and head of services at Uptown Creation, a guerrilla marketing and LinkedIn lead generation company. So chances are, if you found this video, you are bought into LinkedIn. You know how great of a tool it is, and you just haven't been able to get the results that you wanted to get, or maybe you're starting from scratch and trying to learn how to do all this the right way. You might have Googled a couple things, you might have looked up other videos on YouTube, but you're still not getting exactly what you want. And that's why you come here. So, what I'm excited to tell you is that the information that you're going to get in this video, I can guarantee you haven't heard before because it's ways that we've developed ourselves and nobody else is really teaching these ways. I think that once I get into it, you'll see how intuitive they are. And I'm not really reinventing the wheel. If anything, we're taking a step back from what a lot of people are preaching, just because LinkedIn is a very saturated platform with a lot of spam messages, a lot of crappy profiles, crappy sales pitches that ultimately make it so people have their guard up. The methods that I'm about to teach you are how to allow people to be comfortable letting their guard down and not worrying that they're talking to somebody that's just going to be a slimy salesperson and that's all that they want to get out of them. So, with that being said, I'm going to go over a few topics and they're all going to come together to really make it so you have the go-to strategy when you walk away from this. So, first and foremost, what we're going to be talking about is your profile and profile optimization. So, that's a buzzword, but the topics of profile optimization is a really important one because that's what's going to be the determining factor of how many people accept your connection request when you start connecting with new people. Then what we'll go into how to create a targeted lead list. And so we'll do this within LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you don't have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, no worries at all. I'll show you how to do it in regular LinkedIn, but I'll also give you a link to get a free trial of Sales Navigator so you can try it out for yourself because I do think Sales Navigator is a really great tool. Then number 3, we'll go into how to set up lists so you actually create like a mini CRM for cold outreach and a pipeline. And then lastly, we'll go into messaging and we'll go into kind of the template, if you want to call it that I use, and then how you can deviate from this template to really get some great results. If you get any value throughout this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, asking questions in the comments. And if you want to talk more with myself and my team, you can go to uptowncreation.com and book a discovery call to get a strategy built out for you. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first topic that we'll be talking about is profile optimization. Now, I've made other videos on profile optimization that I'll link to here, but I don't want to dive too deep into it and waste too much of people's time if they've seen those other videos. So I'm going to focus on the most important aspects of your profile. So first and foremost, it might come as no surprise to you, but your profile picture is extremely important. You don't have to do what I did by putting a colorful background or border around it. If you want, this is a really good way to stand out, but really all that you need is a headshot and trying to have it about as close up as I have it. You can make it be a little bit variable in distance, but you want to have a clean headshot that's head on and make it easy for people to see who you are. And profile pictures are as easy as that. That is such an important factor because it follows you everywhere that you go on LinkedIn. Similarly, your headline is the same way. So your headline is going to be the part that's under your name. For me, it says pharmacist, co-founder and CEO at Uptown Creation, guerrilla marketer, LinkedIn lead generation, Amazon dropshipping, ENTP. So what I go into is my title first and foremost. So if you're the owner of a company or the founder of a company or the CEO or a sales executive, that's what you're going to want to lead with. You want to lead with your title because there's a lot of people teaching, say a phrase of the value that you can provide to them. And I'm really against that because of what people are conditioned to believe. They're used to people that say, helping B2B professionals find more leads on LinkedIn. When you get a connection request from that type of person, you know what's about to happen. You know that you're going to get a automated message sent by a bot the second you accept that. So people for that reason, are going to be more likely to say no to those types of profiles. So that's not a bad strategy inherently, but because it's so overutilized by bad actors in the space, you want to avoid that like the plague, because that's going to make it so people are much less likely to connect with you. And that's kind of the base floor of getting in. You need somebody to connect with you so you can send them a first degree message and also allow them to see your content throughout the lifetime of LinkedIn. The honorable mentions. So those are the two most important: your profile picture, your headline. The honorable mentions that I'll get into is the featured section. So this is kind of where people's attention as they scroll down is going to gravitate to. And this is a place to add credibility, allow people to kind of see what you're about, and put some personality into it. So going into some other parts of the headline that are really important. I think after you go into kind of your title and the generic, this is who I am and what my title is at a company, that's where you can add a little bit of flair afterwards. So guerrilla marketer, LinkedIn lead generation, you can get into more of the specific topics using as few words as possible. And then what I always recommend to people is to add in something that gives your account and your profile a little bit of personality. So literally I put my personality type as ENTP. If you're passionate about dogs, or you really love your kids and you want to say that you are the father of two, I don't think that that's a bad idea to do. LinkedIn is really pushing the platform to be more professional social media rather than resume. And they want you to have a little bit of personality in your profile because it's better for everybody. You don't want to have these professional interactions all day that have no personality to them. And that is one of the biggest shifts that I've been seeing on LinkedIn since they were bought out by Microsoft in 2018. And I think that's for the better. So profile picture, headline, and featured section. If I just go to kind of the people that are connecting with me, let me see if I can find some people. So right here is a good example: solving business problems with Web3 and blockchain. That person's probably going to have a pretty low acceptance rate just because of the way that they're presenting themselves in that initial encounter. And that sets you up for failure before you really even begin. So with that being said, the other variables are going to be making sure that you're connecting with active people on LinkedIn. So I'll talk a little bit more about that when we go into targeting in a moment here. And then obviously the people that you're targeting. So for example, I connect with a lot of pharmacists, and I have pharmacists right there at the head of my title. If you're the owner of a company and you're targeting other owners and founders, your acceptance rate is probably going to be pretty high, because I like to say like attracts like. So if you're connecting with people that look like you in the sense of job title, your acceptance rate is going to be pretty high just because of how comfortable people are going to be with connecting with people of similar pedigrees to them. All right. Now to go into proper targeting. So we're going to jump over to LinkedIn Sales Navigator. As I mentioned, if you don't have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I recommend it as a tool. It's an extremely valuable tool because you get the best filters possible, as well as the ability to kind of keep track of everything that you do on LinkedIn in a really easy way that doesn't have to make you guess, did this person accept my connection request? How do I keep track of all of this? So if you don't have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, there's a link in the description below for a 60-day free trial. Usually LinkedIn only gives a 30-day free trial, so I highly recommend you take advantage of this 60-day free trial link and really use this video as a template to build out your Sales Navigator profile and start making some connections and starting conversations. And the 60 days should make it, if you're using LinkedIn on a regular basis, I'd imagine that you'd be bought in to continuing the subscription, but I'll leave that up to you if you get the value out of it from there. So when you're at the LinkedIn Sales Navigator dashboard, what I recommend is not using the search field for anything other than searching for companies like Netflix or searching for individuals like my business partner, Connor Paulson. So people and companies are what you're going to want to use this search filter for. Otherwise, it's going to create a keyword search, which is probably the biggest trap people get put into when they're first starting on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. They're not using the search filters the right way. So lead filters are going to be individuals. Account filters are going to be companies. 90% of the time or more, I'm using lead filters. So that's what I'm going to show you. The way that I build out every single search starts off with the United States, because that's where I'm targeting primarily. So use the country that you're trying to target. Then I'll add second and third degree connections in. I'll go to people I've interacted with and remove anybody that I've contacted before. I'll also exclude all of my saved leads. So that makes it so I'm not reaching out to anybody or connecting with people that I've already been in contact with. And now this is going to be really important for your connection acceptance rate. Posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days under spotlights. That is one of the biggest changes that you can make to your current strategy, or one of the biggest factors of your success if you're implementing this from scratch, is going to be because you're reaching out to the people that are actually active on LinkedIn. Now, you might have a search that's too small to be able to get enough results from this filter. I would recommend adding in some additional job titles and or making it so you're reaching out to a broader audience if you're not able to use this filter, especially as you're starting out. There's some caveats to that, but that is my best advice when you're creating a saved search to begin with. Make sure that you're finding the active people on LinkedIn. So this is kind of my skeleton template as it sits right here. From here, then, I usually avoid industry because I found that it's not a very good way of sorting because it's a lot of self-reported data. That's a whole nother conversation that I could go very deep into. But what I would recommend using would be job title and current company. So job title and current company are the only two fields other than the keyword field at the top that says search, where you can type in free verse text. So you could type in any word that you want here, and it'll show you people with that title or at a company that is like that. So let's use owner, founder, chief executive officer. And if you notice, I'm putting quotations around this. And what that does is that makes it with Boolean search logic. So you can Google that if you're interested in more what that is. But putting quotations means that I'm going to get that exact phrase. And then I'll add in president. Now, a caveat here is if you add in the word president and you don't want vice president, you're going to have to exclude vice president. So in job title and company alike, you're able to freely type in text, get very specific with it, but then also get very specific with who you are excluding. So now you can see there's 630,000 results for kind of this highest echelon that have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days in the United States that are my second and third degree connections. Now, current company is where you can get creative with the types of people you want to reach out to. So what I would recommend is using a thought experiment, if you're able to, for your niche, to find words of similarity that are part of those types of companies. So for example, if I want to find the owners and executives at pharmacies, I could type in pharmacy, and then that'll give me a set result of people. I'll have to go through because some of these are going to be companies that aren't pharmacies themselves, but might be suppliers of pharmacies or associations. So this isn't the best example, but a good example would be associates. So for lawyers, for doctors' offices, this word associates is really popular in company titles. So this is one area that I would use industry. So let's say that I'm trying to find doctors that own their own private practice or consulting service and are the owner of it. So in the industry section, I put hospitals and healthcare. In current company, I put associates. And in job title, I put owner, founder, CEO, president. And then that gives me a really great list to start off with. There's 695 people posted in the last 30 days. If I take that off, there's going to be 13,000 just because of the level of activity that this demographic has. Once I get through the people that have posted in the last 30 days, I like to go after people who have changed jobs in the last 90 days because that means that they were active recently. And then from there, I like to go after the people who have the golden IN badge because that means they're paying for LinkedIn Premium and they're going to be a little bit more active on the platform than people who aren't paying LinkedIn. So this was a little bit more in depth into the filters that I use, but generally these are going to be the primary filters that I will use on a search. And then if you really want to go deeper into it, I'll use company headcount to kind of get the size of the company down. And then I will also use the years that people have been at a current company. This is especially good if you get a really large search result and you're trying to find the, again, most active members or the people who might be most open minded. Maybe you're trying to target people that have been in business for 10 or more years because it's going to be something that is good for an older demographic. But maybe you're targeting people that, you want people that are fresh off the ground, developing their first practice as a medical professional. And that's really who your archetype is to help. So those are some additional filters that you can play around with, but you don't need to get much more fancy than that. Anything more is going to be kind of putting you down a rabbit hole of being too specific without a purpose of doing so. So once you have this saved search and you're happy with it, another tip is to kind of sift through it and look at the other words that are in these company titles. So if I'm scrolling through and I'm looking, all these have associates, patient might be a good one, or group might be a good one. Those are kind of the other words that I'm seeing that are popping up. Clinical might be a good word for me to type in if I want to expand this search even more. So that is a little tidbit. If you find one word that's kind of in all of your archetypes or most of your archetypes company titles or company names rather, then you can use this to find other ones. Once you have a good list that you're happy with, I would recommend titling it and saving it A connection requests. So now this is going to be a list that you're able to go to and utilize every single day that you come in and work on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So you don't have to create this ever again. You can refine it over time, but this makes it so you can kind of just jump into work and you don't have to think about anything else. So now that we talked about the filters on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I want to go into how to keep track of all of this. So we have one saved search created. Your profile is optimized. Now you're going to start sending connection requests. And ideally, you want to save these to a certain place so you know kind of what your acceptance rate is, who's messaging you, who you can keep in contact with, and how you can optimize things to get better. So the way that we're going to do that is you're going to go into lead lists. And this is really going to be how you build out LinkedIn Sales Navigator as a sales pipeline for yourself. So I'm going to show you some lead lists that you're going to create with certain titles, and then I'll show you how to utilize them. The first one is going to be connection request sent. And so you're going to add people to this list when you're sending connection requests to them. Pretty self-explanatory. Then we're going to have message sent. We're going to have responded. We're going to have follow up. And then just as a catch-all, we're going to have excluded. So you can add anybody that you don't want to pop up in your search to that excluded so it doesn't get messy. So now what we're going to go ahead and do that we have those built out is go back to our saved searches. We're going to go to that search that I just built out, the A connection request search. And that has all of our results that we just looked up. So now let's say that as I'm going through this, I see somebody who's not a good fit. I see this dentist and, I'm really only trying to contact doctors. So I'm going to save this person to this excluded list. And now if I refresh this page, that person will no longer be there because I'm making it so all of my saved leads are excluded from this search. So what you're going to come in and do on a daily basis now is select all, hit save to list, and then save these people to a connection request sent list. And you're going to go down the line and connect with these people. Every single page here is going to have 25 people. So I would recommend doing 1 to 2 pages. So 25 to 50 connection requests each and every day. That ends up being around 200 to 250 connection requests that you get out a week, about 1,000 connection requests a month. Connection requests are kind of the lifeblood of LinkedIn. So there's other ways to get in contact with people, which I go over in my other videos, but building an audience is the most effective way because not only can you message these people, even if you have no intention of sending a message to people, the better thing is that they're going to see all of your content that you post. So usually you'd have to pay advertisements thousands of dollars to get in front of such a specific niche of people. If you just build out and handpick that audience, you're creating all of the people that are going to see your content, and you can know exactly who's going to see it, which is really, really, really powerful, especially with the organic reach that you can get on LinkedIn today. So now that you know what to do on a daily basis from a connection request standpoint, we're going to go ahead and show you how to keep track of the people that are connecting with you in the first place. So we just sent out these connection requests. How do you know who connects back with you? And so I like to create a really simple saved search that stems from first degree connections. Then I'll add in lead lists, connection requests sent, that lead list that we created. I will also go ahead and exclude contacted people. So make it so when I do send a message to somebody, they won't show up here again. And then that is going to be the way to do it. So now you can see that these are all first degree connections that connected back with me. These are going to be people that you potentially want to send a message to, or maybe you just want to wait and not send a message yet. But let's say that you do want to send out messages to these people. So in a couple minutes, I'm going to talk about how to create a message that it will actually get responses. But I want to show you how to keep track of the people that you're messaging first. So we're going to go ahead and save this saved search as B send messages. So now, as part of your workflow, when you come into LinkedIn Sales Navigator, since you have these saved searches and lead lists already built out, when you come into work, you're going to go into A connection requests. You're going to go through and send your 25 to 50 connection requests, which should take you, anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes tops. Then you're going to go to your saved searches and go to the B send messages list. So these will be all of the new people that have connected with you over the weekend or the previous day that can receive new messages. When you're going through this list, what you're going to do is save these people now to the message sent list that we created. By doing that and sending a message, it'll make it so these people will not populate. If you want to be extra careful with it, you can go ahead and exclude that message sent list as well. But since we're removing contacted people, they'll be automatically removed as it is. So you can just go down the list then and send messages. And so the really nice thing about sending messages from a saved search is that there are no limits that exist. You can send thousands and thousands of messages. Not that you will be, but people always get worried about sending too many messages or if they're going to get blocked. The blocks actually happen from visiting somebody's profile. So when you visit somebody's LinkedIn Sales Navigator profile, this is what all the bots and automation do. So this is kind of the rate limiting step for people when they're sending out messages with bots and automation, which is one of the values of doing this by hand. So now just to recap what we've done so far, we've gone over profile optimization and how to make it so your profile looks as good as it can. We've gone into how to create a saved search with your ideal targets and also focusing on people who have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days to make sure that we're targeting the most active people on LinkedIn. Something that I didn't mention is when you do go ahead and connect with people, you're going to want to not send a connection request message. This might be counterintuitive, but again, going back to kind of trying to not act like the bad actors on the platform, you want to appear as different as possible from the people that are just spamming away. And most bot and automation accounts are sending out connection request messages. So it automatically triggers somebody when they see a connection request message that this person, might be a red flag. And I might not want to connect with this person because they're going to just try to sell me something. They're going to be annoying. And I know how this goes. So do not send connection request messages and your connection acceptance rate will be higher than if you did. So then what we did was we went in and we created lead lists. We created excluded, follow-up, responded, message sent, connection request sent. So I'll explain how to use the responded and follow-up lists in a moment. But then finally, we went in and created this B send messages list, which is going to make it so you find all of the new people who have connected with you since you've sent out those connection requests. I know that was a lot of information, but thankfully you're able to kind of pause this video and go at your own pace. And this is going to be the only thing that you need to get set up and actually start getting results. So now lastly, what I want to go into is the message itself. How do you send a message to somebody on LinkedIn that actually gets a response and doesn't, leave a bad taste in people's mouths, make you look spammy, make you lose relationships, but actually just start conversations? So there's a balance between being too casual and too salesy. If you're too casual and just saying like, "Hey, how's it going?" people are going to be wondering why you're contacting them. They're going to wonder what you want. And people will literally ask you, what do you want from me? So you want to avoid being too ambiguous with your outreach. On the contrary, you also don't want to go into a full on sales pitch talking with industry jargon, exactly how your product can help them, and just things that aren't going to be conducive of a conversation. You don't want to just throw word vomit at these people either. So in one of the forums that LinkedIn has called the LinkedIn community, if you want to go and check this out, you can go to the little question mark here in Sales Navigator and click community. And there's an underground forum of some of the super users of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And I'm one of the people that contributes to this section. And this is what I wrote a couple days ago. So the message format that I utilize and we utilize for many of our clients is as follows. So starting off with a first line that doesn't start with "hey" and then their name or everything else that people are seeing in their inbox. We want to make it so if people have 20 messages in their inbox that start off with "hey Chris," "hi Chris," that our message looks completely different. So from all of our testing, what's working really well right now is, I know this is random, but you seemed like the best person to reach out to, or you seemed like the best person to reach out to at this company. Either way, what this is doing, this first line, regardless of whether you want to use this one or not, you are kind of addressing the elephant in the room while also making it so that initial wording that shows up in somebody's inbox actually gets them to click into it. That's the first barrier you have to overcome. You have to get somebody to click your message to actually get them to read it. Then once they're in it, you need them to read the next sentence all the way until the bottom. So that's why the second part of this message, or the meat and the potatoes of it, is going to be pretty quick and to the point. So I'm looking to speak with titles, so we'll say owners, about how they're currently addressing and then addressing whatever pain point you want to fix. So for example, I'm looking to speak with business owners about how they're currently using LinkedIn to generate new leads on the platform. Something quick, to the point, and uninvasive. Then, my name is Chris, and I'm the co-founder at Uptown Creation. Our bread and butter is helping people use LinkedIn Sales Navigator the right way without bots and automation. Again, really quick and to the point. They know exactly what I do, but they also don't know all of the things that I just shared in this video. I don't need to tell them that to get them to want to get on a call with me as a discovery call. Save the selling, save the, in-depth analysis, the jargon, the wordy descriptions, save all of that for when you're talking to somebody face to face and you can actually have dialogue with them. If you'd be open to it, I'd love to find 10 to 15 minutes to learn more about each other and share a few ideas about how your team could be leveraging LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Again, super to the point and really easy to comprehend and understand and read. Then lastly, the third part of the message is going to be a call to action. So for me, I have feel free to find a time that works best for you here, and then I put my call link in there. So as a call to action, you could say, would you be open to a call like this? You could nix the entire bottom if you really wanted to and just ask them a question. That's a good call to action as well. But I found that going right for the call doesn't yield worse results. So there's no reason not to give them the opportunity to schedule a call with you. A lot of the time they won't schedule a call right away. They might just say, "I'm interested in more," "I'm not interested in this," or "tell me more here." And then that's the invitation to do so. So just because you share a call link doesn't mean that the person's going to schedule a call. In fact, a lot of the times they won't schedule a call, but at least they have the opportunity to, for the people that would want to schedule a call. So this is going to be a really powerful format for sending messages. I've included this in the description below as well. So you can kind of copy that and then make it your own. And this is going to be a really good starting place for when you go and send messages to people from that B send message list. What you'll find is that after doing that for 7 days, 14 days, a month, you're going to have hundreds of new connections rolling in with dozens of conversations and actually a sales pipeline that is sustainable because you're making new connections on a constant basis. You're starting new conversations on a continual basis, and you're actually scheduling sales calls with people that want to chat with you, know what they want to chat with you about, because we didn't do the just straight casual how's the weather route. And it's really good conversations that whether they lead to business today or in 6 months, they're a first degree connection with you now. And the way that you can kind of supercharge all of these results is by posting content on your LinkedIn. Now, I've made a bunch of videos about posting content. I'm not going to go super into it right now. Posting, anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week is what I recommend to people. And if for no other reason than just getting your name out there, acting like a billboard so people that you're sending messages to know that you're actually a real person, is going to be some of the most important parts. The last thing that I want to go over is how to use those other lead lists that we created, the responded and then follow up. So as you're sending messages to people, what you're going to want to do is if somebody responds to the message that you send, go into their profile and then you can add them by hitting edit list to the responded section. So then what this will be is for anybody that responds, whether it's positive, negative, neutral, just anybody that gets a response, that's going to be your response rate that you can keep track of. Then anybody who gives you a positive response, you're going to add to the follow-up section. So that way you know that that follow-up section is kind of the golden nuggets. Whether somebody says follow up with me in 6 months or they just show positive sentiment and they schedule a call with you, being able to have them in the follow-up section makes it so these are all of your positive responses. When you do this for a year, you're going to have hundreds of people in this list that are all people that showed positive sentiment to the conversation that you were starting with them. I know this was one of my lengthier videos. If you derived value from this, please consider subscribing to the channel, giving a like, and asking any questions here. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Chris Casalino, and I'm pretty easy to find there. And you can send me a message and tell me that you came from YouTube. So then we can talk about either this video or any of the other videos that you've seen. And I highly encourage you to check out my other videos on the channel. They're going to give you some of the best advice that you can't find anywhere else because nobody else is talking about this stuff in the way that we are at Uptown Creation. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to hearing the results that you generate through LinkedIn lead generation.